This is the ZMAR Podcast. Elite Benefits of America helps small and mid-sized companies with their health insurance programs. And now, your host, Butch ZMAR.
Welcome back to the ZMAR Podcast. I have a guest today, Troy Viola. We met at a baseball game, and he's going to share a little bit of his baseball story and a little bit of past life and where he's headed. So thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Butch. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, Troy, can you give our audience just a little background? I know you started off before we started the podcast, but can you kind of give us a background where you're coming from and then where you're headed?
Yeah, I was born in Pasadena, California. Lived in La Cañada, Flint Ridge for about 10 years before my family moved up to Bend, Oregon. That's where I went to middle school, high school. Went to Summit High School in Bend, Oregon. Played football and baseball there. Was quarterback in high school and played shortstop for the baseball team. We won a state championship in football and baseball my senior year there, and that was kind of my send-off for high school. And then the only school that I really had an offer from out of high school was Central Arizona College, which was a junior college in Coolidge, Arizona, middle of nowhere. But I had a connection there, and they saw something in me that they thought they could turn something into. And so I went out there, had a fall at Central Arizona College in Coolidge. I was very underdeveloped. I was 17 years old. I was young for my grade my whole life. Very underdeveloped, and the competition there, they were one of the top junior colleges in the country. And the competition level there, I was unmatched. I was definitely around some guys that were way better than me, which was great for me developmental-wise. But as far as starting and playing, I wasn't going to happen. So at the end of the fall, they basically told me you can redshirt, try to play shortstop next year, or we can help you find somewhere else. I basically got cut, and so, being a naive kid I wanted to go play shortstop for somebody and be the starting shortstop. So I told them, well, thank you for the opportunity, but I would love to have you help me find somewhere else to go. And that led me to doing some research, and Southern California was comfortable to me, and there's great baseball down there. So I searched in the Southern California area for colleges, and Glendale College was one that came up, and they had a history of being really good and being in the playoffs a lot. So we reached out to them, and sure enough, they needed an infielder, and they kind of just, they didn't really know what they were getting. They just said, yeah, we'll take him, And I went out to Southern California, played a year and a half at Glendale College, ended up having a growth spurt. So I went from around 5'10", 5'11", to 6'2", 200 pounds, and they bumped me over from shortstop to third base. So that's where I started playing third base. And then I had a great season at Glendale, got offered a scholarship to San Jose State University in the Bay Area. I jumped on that immediately because the thought of Division I baseball was like a dream of mine. And, they sold me with, we fly everywhere, you get the free gear, you get all this. And this is coming from junior college where I was selling Girl Scout cookies to, buy a team sweatshirt. So nothing was given to you when you're at the junior college level. And now you're going to a level where the colleges are, handing out free gear to you. So that was very attractive to me. So I jumped on that offer immediately, said yes. Went up to San Jose and played a year there, a full year, and then COVID hit. And that's when the Bay Area got a little crazy. We weren't able to work out much. We weren't able to really practice other than on the football field, and very spread out and in groups, so we weren't together as a team. And I just kind of had to look myself in the mirror and ask myself, are you putting the best version of yourself out on the field this year? With little practice and little preparation, and I couldn't look myself in the mirror and say yes. So I opted out, entered the transfer portal, and that's when Purdue came calling. I emailed a bunch of Division I schools, Power 5, just to see what I could get back, and Purdue was one of them, and they gave me the best offer, and I jumped on that one. So I packed up and went to another home base, which was Purdue, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. A huge stage to showcase my skills, and And obviously, then the year I had there got me where I am now.
Well, the perseverance behind it, because when I was trying to just get a little background on who you are, where you came from, and someone wrote an article about the number of emails you actually hit send on, and I don't know if you remember that interview, but it went into depth a little bit about how many emails you actually sent. Do you remember how many there were?
I believe it was over 80 emails.
Perseverance to try to nail another spot, and I think that obviously that comes out as a player, right? Like you don't quit and you just keep on moving. So tell us about the time that you at Purdue. How did that work out? I know you said you had an injury and you had to go through rehab, but how did things develop over at Purdue?
Purdue was incredible. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in baseball. Like I said, coming from junior college where, nothing's handed to you. Everything you do, you got to get yourself, even up to gear, right? I'm going door to door selling Girl Scout cookies to make the money to sponsor the sweatshirt I'm buying from my team in junior college, which is crazy to think about, but that's, some of the guys that go Division I right off the bat, they would never even know that life. They just, right off the bat, they're getting stuff for free and, everything is being handed them, which, that's great for them, but my journey was crazy, and there's a lot of other junior college guys that experienced the same exact thing. So going to Purdue, where everything is handed to you, you get all the gear, the facilities, your fingerprint scanning into the facilities, all the huge scoreboards, and you're having media days that are unreal. You're in the green screen, and you're in there for an hour and a half. They're taking a bunch of pictures. You got 5 different jersey combinations, all the free bats, the free gloves with your names on it. It was unlike anything I've ever been a part of, right? So I felt like a superstar there. I was like, wow, this is awesome, everything. This is what all my hard work has come to is with my final year with Purdue. So I had a great fall with great competition. I competed with a guy at third base till the very end of the fall. I think it was a tough decision for Coach Goff to make at Purdue, but he ended up choosing me to be the starting third baseman, and I ended up starting every single game at third base for Purdue. Played all 50 games, and we made the Big Ten tournament and went out there, and we got knocked out by Iowa. But just the whole experience was incredible, and I couldn't have written it any better. We ended it because of the Big Ten tournaments in Omaha, where they play the College World Series. So if you're not going to be in the College World Series, at least I ended my career, in Omaha, in that environment where it's like, damn, this is where the best guys play, where some magic has happened in the past. This is a cool spot to end my college career.
Yeah, I was reading that you were the first baseball player to play third base for the entire time that you were at Purdue.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
all 50 games.
When you finished up at Purdue, you end up at, you said Edwardsville or Evansville, yeah. And so that transition, is that when you moved over to shortstop, or that wasn't until later?
No, so coming out of Purdue, I was still third base, and Evansville gave me a ring after the draft. I was 23 because I took my grad year at Purdue, so I was older for the draft, right? And the older you get, the less attractive you become to major league teams that are drafting. So when the draft happened, I didn't get picked up. I was just kind of back to the drawing board. What are we going to do now? And Evansville ended up calling me and saying, hey, we want to sign you. We want you to come out and play the last month of the season with us. And I talked to my parents, and I was like, what, this is the best opportunity for me right now. It's professional baseball. It's what I've always wanted to do. I'm getting paid to play, and it's going to be the next step. My journey has not been easy, so why would it be now? It's the next step towards what I want to be, which is a Major League Baseball player. So I signed with them, went out there, got off the plane, slept, wake up the next morning. I get in the locker room. They give me my jersey. Troy, you're starting at third base tonight. I was like, all right, here we go. Here's my professional career starting. First at bat, first swing, fouled the ball off, cracked my hamate bone in my left hand. And I knew what that felt like because my catcher from Purdue had broken his hamate bone, Steve Ramirez. And I saw the whole process of how he had to recover and what he had to go through. So right when it happened, I knew exactly what it was. And I tried to tough it out. I made it to the 9th inning, and I could not even squeeze my glove by the end of the game. So I had them take me out, and I ended up, that was my last game I played in Evansville that year. I had to go back to Purdue, get surgery on my hand, and then rehab for the next 2 months, and then for the next 4 months I was working out and getting ready for this coming spring training with Evansville. So that was my extent of Evansville that year. I get back this year. They signed another third baseman from the Orioles organization, Yomar Reyes. He was a high prospect in the Orioles organization. We battled in spring training. He beat me out. Was playing third base. I was playing one every 4 games probably, getting in there. And I just wasn't getting a lot of playing time. And after we played Windy City, we went to Windy City and played. After that series, I got home, 4 a.m. Skip calls me in the office, says, Viola, you got traded to Windy City. You're headed to Chicago. You're headed back to Chicago. I was like, all right, man, here we go.
How did that feel? Like, did you feel torn, or did you just feel like, all right, new opportunity, let's roll?
Well, funny story. The manager of Windy City, Richie Sexton, was my high school coach. When I found out, I was excited. I was like, okay, I'm with somebody that I know like really cares about me and knows the potential that I have, and I'm going to go in and give everything I got. This is another opportunity for me to go. I wasn't torn. No bad blood, just, Evansville, thank you so much for the opportunity you've given me here. I've been able to compete with some unbelievable players that have been, upwards of AAA in organizations before. And so I was very thankful for the opportunity I got there. But, I wanted what's best for me. So hearing that news, I was excited and ready to go. And I didn't know what to expect. I was assuming I was going to play third base. And I get there, the first game, they had me starting at shortstop. And I hadn't played shortstop since high school. Right, or my first year of junior college when I was competing for a spot, but I hadn't played since high school, so that was exciting. Yeah. And growing up, my favorite player was Derek Jeter. He still is. He's my idol. He's someone that I always broke down everything he was doing offensively, defensively, the way he carried himself on the field, the way he treated fans, the way that he just handled certain situations that he ran into on the field. He never got in trouble. There was never bad press about him. And so he was someone that I idolized since I was young. So getting put back at shortstop, I was excited. I was like, all right, here we go. I get to be like Jeter again over here. So that was exciting.
And so where we met was at one of the Windy City games. And one of the things that stood out to me is you actually tried to involve the kids in the stand.
I would just say my entire career, I've always wanted to interact with the fans because in college, they're not the reason you're getting paid. You're not getting paid. You got a scholarship, but those are the guys paying your bills when you're in professional baseball. So you can't forget, the wide-eyed kid that you were once that was looking up at professionals like, oh my goodness, if he even waves at me, that's the coolest thing ever. So you can't forget that. And I think a lot of guys get complacent and they forget, how cool it is to be a professional baseball player, and not just for yourself, but for the fans and for the kids that are looking down at you. You don't even realize how many people are watching you. Like, someone's always watching you. And, if you just take 1 second out of your day to go and high five a kid, or, if you don't have time to sign his ball, at least give him a high five or say, hey, how's it going? That could be a memory they have for the rest of their life. And I know, I have autographs from way back when I was a kid, and I can clearly remember when someone, took the time to come sign something for me. Couldn't tell you their name even to this day, but I remember exactly where it was and how happy I was. So that was something that from like early on, I've always loved interacting with the fans. So in Evansville, I did the same thing. And here in Windy City, every game after I stretch, we're on the left field line. So I like to go from foul pole all the way to the dugout. Pick out the ones that are kids and say, what's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for coming out and supporting us. And, do you guys play baseball? What's your deal? What's your names? That's important. And then, it opens up opportunities for you.
Yeah, you never know.
All of a sudden,
you're
on Butch's podcast,
yes,
right? So it's like, you never know what it's going to do for you. And it's not really you're out there looking for praise or anything. It's more just, it's important to involve the fans. It's important for the kids, and you never know who you can inspire by just going up and saying hey, or saying, what's up? My name's Troy. What's yours?
Yes, and I think with my boys, I got 4 boys, and I would say since that game, backyard baseball definitely picked up. And so I think you were a big contributor to that. And so it's exciting to watch them, even though they just modified the bases because the backyard's not exactly a baseball diamond. But hey, they're playing baseball, they're having fun, they're hitting balls, they're catching balls, and that's where it all starts. And just the fun of the American-grown sport that we've always grew up playing. Now, where's Troy going from here? Like, what does it look like going forward as far as your professional career and where your goals are?
Right. So this league, the Frontier League, is affiliated with the major leagues, but it is an unaffiliated team. So what that means is there's no major league team above us that we're working our way to. Right. So you can look at that and say, oh, that sucks, or you can look at it and go, well, imagine if you're playing center field in the minor leagues for the Angels behind Mike Trout. You're not playing for the next 10 years, or however many years he's got left on his contract. You're not making it up to the major leagues unless he gets hurt or something freaky happens. Like, if you're center field, you're behind Mike Trout, good luck. You're not going up there until he says, I'm done playing baseball. So in my eyes, the way I look at it here is I'm given an opportunity to basically work my way up all 30 major league teams. This is a team where the major league teams can come look, and if they like the talent that you have and they have a spot that needs to be filled, like, they can grab you and buy out your contract, and you could be playing, in single, double, AAA, just like that. And so that's how I look at it. Is this is a stepping stone for me. Obviously, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to get to play in the Frontier League, but I'm not getting complacent. I'm not getting comfortable. I want to play as hard as I can, and I want to win as much as we possibly can while I'm here. But the ultimate goal is to play Major League Baseball. So, I just keep playing hard and put up numbers and hopefully somebody comes and has an opportunity for me.
Listen up, Butch wants to give you your own Elite Benefits playbook, and it's absolutely free. From business strategy to benefits strategy. Every step from the start through implementation, account setup, and open enrollment. Working through service requests and the process of renewals. A valuable look at your company, your insurance options, and how to make the process easier on you. Go now to elitebenefits.net/playbook and get your free Elite Benefits Playbook. Or give Butch a call today, 708-535-3006.
So when we were walking in to record the session, we were chatting a little bit, and I asked if you guys practice at the same field, and you had mentioned we don't practice. They depend on us to do our own training. So what kind of, it's a lot of self-discipline to do that. So what do you guys get in groups, or you just kind of train on your own?
Yeah, it's the working out is on our own. As far as the weight room goes, there's no set schedule or set a routine that you have to follow. It's the weight room's on you. And then as far as any kind of skill type of things, hitting or defense, we have coaches and our coaching staff that can come out and help us if we want help with something. But at this level, you're kind of expected to, you're a professional. You know what your job is. When you see a weakness in yourself, you got to go and fix it, right? You got to make that into a strength and got to take it on yourself. No one's going to come out and say, hey, let's go do this and let's go work on this. No, you got to understand what your weaknesses are. You got to go fix them. So, we have resources. We have the coaches that are willing to come out and help if we want ground balls or work on hitting. But it's really all on us to go out and take the extra ground balls and seek that help from our coaches instead of expecting them to come and help us, right? And as far as hitting, we got Richie Sexton, who is 10-plus year big leaguer, 300-plus home runs in the big leagues. If you want to talk about knowing how it's done, that is an unbelievable resource that we have to talk about hitting with. The guy's done it. He's faced some of the best pitchers of all time, Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, right? The guy's faced all the people you could ever imagine in the big leagues. And so when it comes to hitting, he's such a great resource when you're struggling or when you have questions about something. It's awesome to be able to just go over and say, hey, Rich, or hey, Skip, what do you think on this? Or what did you do when you were in this situation at the highest level? Because you succeeded at the highest level, and how can I fit that into my routine and how I do things?
Yeah. Do you think getting to the next level is going to take 65 emails?
Yeah, it's going to take me hitting over 300 and having 20 plus homers probably.
Yeah. Just keep hitting the button, right?
Exactly.
Just keep going. Yeah. So if Troy had to pick one or two teams on the big leagues, you got any targets? Anyone you're looking at?
Well, I would be honored to get any kind of, offer from any team in the major leagues, but being from Los Angeles and growing up being an Angels fan since day one, I would love to play for the Los Angeles Angels. That would be the coolest thing ever, to be in Orange County playing for them. And then obviously the Yankees is another one that was huge for me growing up. My grandfather, huge Yankees fan. He actually back in the day he went to a tryout for the Yankees and he got a call back from the Yankees, and we have the letter framed to Salvatore Viola, my grandfather, congratulations on your callback to the Yankees. And I believe the story goes, his father said, "There's no money in baseball. You need to go get a real job." Okay, which is crazy, but that was how it was, I guess, back then. And but he was a huge influence on me, and he loved the Yankees. He loved, Derek Jeter when he first came on the scene, and he was the one that kind of drilled into my head, hey, watch this young kid, Jeter. He's great. Does things the right way. I love the way that, I love the way he swings it. I love the way he plays defense. So the New York Yankees would be another team that would be so fun to be a part of, just because of the history with my family and obviously my favorite baseball player, Jeter.
I'm going to say, did he have did he play baseball like you did and grew up, and that's where he went to the Yankees and had a callback?
I never even, to be honest, didn't even hear the story about his youth or growing up in baseball. He passed away when I was about 14 or 15 years old. But he lived on the East Coast and I was on the West Coast, so I didn't really get to see him that much. And when I did, he was more focused on me than, hey, this is what I did when I was a kid. It was more this is what you need to do to be successful. So I wish I could go back and ask him those questions, or even, I wish I would have thought about that at that time. But I don't know what got him into baseball, but I know that he was in the Navy. And he played baseball at the Navy too, with them. I don't know what teams or how that went about, but I know that we have the letter that says, "Congratulations, Salvatore, on the callback. You meet at this location." I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe you'll get one of those letters one day.
Exactly, that's what we're hoping.
Yeah. So while you were at Purdue, I think I read that you studied some type of business background in your academics, so communications or anything. And so, assuming that, you take and get to the major leagues and you end up retiring at some point, what are you planning on using with that degree, and any outlook for goals at that point? Maybe run an organization, stay in the baseball community?
Yeah. I've always kind of just had a, everyone always says have a plan B, right? I don't expect to not get there, right? So I've always had a just plan A mentality. You keep working hard, you're going to get there. You have what it takes. You have the skill set. You have the body type. You can get there. And so for me, it was always if I'm saying, oh, here's my plan B, I'm almost doubting myself. Oh, yeah, if I don't make it, my mentality is I'm going to make it. So it's just a matter of keep going. Keep going. Someone's going to give you an opportunity. When they tell you no, you say no, and just keep going, right? So, but as far as, the degrees that I got, I do have a lot of them because of how many years I was in college. I did major in communications, got a minor in business, and then I got a master's from Purdue in leadership technology and innovation. So I would love maybe to go into some kind of leadership, something in leadership, just because every team that I've been on, I've been a leader or a captain, and I've learned a lot through baseball about leadership and how to handle certain people. And so maybe something in leadership, maybe sports. I don't know if I would love to be a coach because I'm really hard on myself. So I know that whatever level I'm going to coach, or if I was going to coach, they need to be able to handle high expectations, because I love kids. But some of them, they don't understand, I think, how serious you have to be. And there's a fine line between you want to have fun, but you also want them to take their skills and build on them, not just hear you, but not listen to you, right? And so Coaching, I've thought about it, and I just don't know if I would be able to do that because of the expectations that I set for myself. I would probably have to tone it back a little bit, and that might be something that I learn as I get a little bit older, how to, handle that and how to be a little easier on people. But I'm very hard on myself, and I expect, a lot out of my teammates too. So I don't know, maybe something in baseball, but I do have a lot of degrees. I can figure it out when I get there, but for now, my head is set on Major League Baseball, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I keep focus on it. I know the game that we saw, I saw great performance, and of course I'm not the professional baseball player, but stick the path, grind it out, right? Somebody's going to pick you up at some point. I really appreciate the time that you've taken with me and on this podcast, and maybe through your adventures we'll get you back and get everybody an update.
Absolutely, I would love that, Butch. Thank you.